Hi, so we're here with Will Glover today, and I'm Ileana, the Star Traveler, and we're going to be having a bit of a discussion about some of Will's experiences in various SSP experiences, ETs, anything and everything that Will wants to discuss, and a bit of a question and answer session today for a video diary. Hi, Will.
Hey, Elena, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, doing well.
Excellent. I remember that you sent me an email about a month and a half ago asking me some questions about a being that you described to me, a being, insectoid being, and asked me who I had met who was sort of also insectoid. Would you like to tell us a little bit about who you met?
Yeah, I mean, I never got any names. I was in kind of the typical not in control of my body type of feeling, laying down on the surface and couldn't get up or anything or move. And I saw this rather tall being with a kind of pie-shaped head, or like a slice of a pie, or kind of a wedge of cheese type of head, and very skinny limbs, and seemed like was wearing some sort of bodysuit, and there was lights at the joints. And I watched it as it kind of came across and then seemed to be walking downstairs, even though I couldn't see any of couldn't see what the ship would look like. It was all kind of blacked out, but I could see that he was coming down, so obviously it seemed like some stairs, and he seemed to be working on some sort of console next to me, while he was next to me. So, kind of nothing really traumatic, it was just kind of like, I had woken up from that experience, and was up in the middle of the night, and I happened to listen to one of your previous talks, and you had mentioned a being that sounded very similar, and so I figured I'd email you and see what you had to say.
Did this insectoid being have green skin?
It not really, not to me. It was very dark green, like a forest green. It wasn't very brightly lit, so it might have been. It didn't come across to like as neon green or anything like that. Definitely more darker, and it seemed more on the reptilian side of things. Like it had smaller eyes, and I could see the whites in its eyes, which was kind of a new thing, because usually they're black eyes always, it seems, and so kind of a different. It seemed like a little bit different of a entity than I usually get.
And he was wearing some kind of a suit?
Yeah, definitely had, like, seemed to be wearing some sort of body armor. I mean, light armor or bodysuit, definitely a tight fitting. Like, I remember some ribs across the arms. And like I said, the joints right at the joints, I could see these green lights, seemed like, if I can remember straight.
And do you think it could be like a cybernetics nanotech suit, possibly?
I obviously could be. I didn't get that amount of information from just that encounter. We didn't talk. Like I said, it was just seemed very routine for him. So yeah, it wasn't. There was no real communication, at least none that I remember. And so yeah, I don't know. There definitely was a technology component to things, because he's obviously working on some sort of console. I'm not sure if the suit directly interacted with the computer system or anything like that. I didn't see a whole lot of wires or anything. It was like a kind of a smooth suit. So if it was tech, it was all woven inside. So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, could have been for sure. I don't have a real answer. Kind of speculate. Really, all I can do on that.
Okay, yeah, because for me, it was the being that I met. He was a reptilian insectoid hybrid, and he also had like a elongated head, like long and kind of like, like an oval shaped head. He had black eyes though, like big black eyes. His name was Gore, and he acted as some kind of a ambassador representative for the Dark Fleet, for the human assets in the Dark Fleet on the reptilians' behalf. He wasn't happy being an ambassador for the Dark Fleet human factions. He also wore some kind of a dark suit, like blackish gray suit, and it had like reddish green glowing joints on the armor of the suit, on the arms and legs, and he was like really tall, like 12, 14 feet tall. So, and his name was Gore. So, and his suit was cybernetics, nanotech, and it could interface with various computer systems. So that's all I remember really. And he gave me various tours of the Dark Fleet cities and other solar systems. He was kind of like my guide for that, and where I could go and couldn't go in those visitations. I don't think it was per se an abduction experience, because I sort of wanted to see the cities, so it was mostly, I guess, somewhat voluntary, I have to admit, on that occasion. So that's how I remember him, very tall with green skin and body armor suit as well. So it sounds a little maybe similar but very different for you and me.
Yeah, the whites in the eyes was a big giveaway, and it wasn't an oval head. It was definitely like a flat top head with a a very round, kind of pointed nose. Reason why it kind of looked like a mantid head and a reptilian head, but with more. I mean, I could definitely see scales. So definitely more on the reptilian side. It was the arms that kind of looked weird, like it seemed very, very long, and actual besides the ribs, there was like a red line going up, like a red part of the suit for sure. So there are a couple of things, but I'm not sure exactly, if it was, I don't know if it's the same exact being.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe a different being, but similar, like reptilian, insectoid, hybrid, maybe mantid.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know Zagor is not a mantid, it's some kind of insectoid, but I don't know, I'm not sure what. He never really told me the exact hybrid lineage of what he is.
Right.
So.
And I could only move my eyes, so I couldn't even like look over to see what he was doing. It was just, all I could do was, if it was in my line of vision, that was all I could see. So, one of those weird controlled dreams, not my favorites for sure.
What do you think he was doing to you?
I mean, at this point, God only knows. Probably something to do with my programming, I would say, or trying to keep me from remembering, or something probably along those lines. I didn't necessarily get the worst, like I wasn't afraid for my life, or he was going to eat me or anything like that. So it definitely seemed like he was there to do something to me, and then that was all. It wasn't like anything personal. So it might have been just maybe a routine checkup. I don't really know.
And what have your experiences been like? Because I know you have some videos on YouTube as well describing your SSP stuff, and your you had encounter with some kind of a satanic ritual in your backyard as a kid, stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I made some videos almost a year and a half ago now. I was just it just seemed like I've been kind of running away from all this my whole life, not even realize I was running away from it, and it finally, I guess, kind of caught up to me, where I maybe just had enough confidence in myself to deal with it. So I kind of took it on head on, and yeah, it definitely seemed to stir the pot when I went and saw a regression hypnotherapist. That seemed to be the real thing that kind of blew everything up. And yeah, life got really weird after that. And for me, it's not been a whole lot of recall per se. I mean, a lot of it's just trying to piece together things that happened to me as a kid into this kind of story. And one of them happened to be that SRA, which I never thought was real. I thought it was some dream or something, until a family member also mentioned remembering it also. So that was a lot. I mean, it made me really look at that differently. And then, I mean, I definitely had the grays and felt like I had maybe reptilians taking me at night. So then throwing that all in, it just adds this weird element to things. 'Cause it seemed like I was dealing with these shadow beings or whatever they were, like most of my life. I mean, that was definitely one of my first. When I remember when I was really, really young, 2 or 3, seeing shadow beings and a bunch of. I'm not even in regression. I had a encounter at like 8 months old. So these things have definitely been a part of my life. So yeah.
What was the SRA experience like? If you don't mind talking about that, if you don't want to, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean it was very weird. A bunch of people dressed in kind of Renaissance or Victorian type of dress, and they were all wearing masks, like kind of masquerade masks, and it seemed like the main guy, like I could see this other interdimensional, like he was possessed by it. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like they was overlaid over that person. And they sacrificed an animal, and that was one for sure. And I think, I don't know if it's the same time, but there's another ritual where there was sex involved. So yeah, I mean, a lot of really weird stuff when I was like 7 or 8. And yeah, I mean, my family's not into that, at least not to their knowledge. And no one even in my town is. I mean, it's a very small little town. So it's all very strange because, like I said, it happened in my backyard. And my sister remembers them approaching the house and walking through our back gate. And so it was just kind of a weird deal, Like I said, I thought it was a dream, but when I finally, maybe when my sister mentioned that, it was like something it was like there had been a block in my my mind, and it finally kind of came up, and I had been doing a bunch of research on MK Ultra and all that other stuff that because I thought this was more of a mind control situation. I didn't quite know about it when I wasn't really ready for the SSP part, so I just didn't. That's kind of what I figured out. And I had a bunch of family that were in secret societies, the Masons, so I thought it had something to do with that. And it still might. I mean, who knows? But yeah.
Well, it's actually interesting that you mention the satanic rituals, because in the interplanetary corporate conglomerate on the Mars basis and in the Dark Fleet, they actually initiate human assets with sexual rituals and other, blood magic and other type of rituals with magic, so dark magic, to raise sexual energy and tension, to build up on your psionic abilities. That's one of the ways they could do it. So it's really creepy, but sometimes they do it on Mars. And if you're in a darker faction of the SSP, you might stumble into that, especially Knights of the Templar and some of the Bavarian SSP factions. They do that as well. That's something I heard through Kevan Trammell. He discussed that a little bit in one of our roundtables, and I remember seeing some of that stuff where men and women would just have orgies together to raise their sexual energies and psionic abilities, to do different types of magic. And it was on Mars. I'm not sure if it was on the ICC basis themselves or somewhere else on Mars, but it was on Mars. So that's some training they went to when they first became recruited assets. And most of these people are abducted and it's done against their will, but to be an asset, you're trained heavily in psionics and sexual techniques and other things. So that doesn't surprise me, what you just described.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this has been really just kind of a weaving of how this all weaves together. That's kind of, I'm going to have a few recalls of with people that I've met, but most of it, like I said, was just trying to piece together these crazy experiences I've had throughout my life, but especially as a child.
And I remember you had also told me that you had been, you have a memory of being drowned at some point.
Yeah, I mean, that was when I actually drowned when I was 18 months old. Like, not a memory. I mean, that was real. So one of my parents just happened to be a CPR instructor and brought me back to life. So yeah, that definitely happened. That's not anything that definitely happened. So, but yeah, a lot of it seemed like when I would get taken at night from my bedroom, it was, I would go, I would go to this one place, and then a lot of times they would put me in a transport, and I'd go all over, and yeah, sometimes it involved me drowning, along with a whole bunch of other stuff, but that seemed to be one of their favorite ways to get me to do whatever they wanted me to do was drowning. I mean, I still have like weird cold water issue flashback things, and so it definitely something working on still, but yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be also a common theme of drowning, because I remember when they put me in Monarch Solutions, which is sort of like Kruger, where they're runners and they're interchanging information, they're running around doing different kinds of guarding of people and stuff. So these companies, they loan out their assets on Earth and on Mars. So I remember, like, when I was before 15, before I went to the SSP off-world, I remember being drowned somewhere in some kind of a hot tub or a small pool outside of a cabin somewhere in the woods, possibly near the mountains somewhere. So, and that was quite the experience for me. So that seems to be like the initiation into these training programs before the SSP when you're an adolescent, the drowning, because I've heard other people mention it as well. And you've mentioned it. So, because it's breaking you down, the pain factor, like breaking you down and initiating you so you don't feel the pain anymore after being constantly tortured, drowned, whatever they want to initiate you as, whatever techniques they use to break you down and not feel the pain. Or actually, for some people, the pain receptors actually to make you feel more pain. For some, it's not to feel pain and to be disassociated from emotions. For others, it is to feel more pain, to subjugate you somehow.
Well, I definitely, yeah, the whole turning part of me off, dissociation thing. I mean, I know that's something that, I mean, I feel like even the drowning as a kid was somehow a part of it, that they've been kind of setting me up to have this. Just awesome. But yeah, so still here. So
yeah, it's a credit to you that you're still here and that you're a strong person and you don't give in to whatever they do to you. You keep on going and you're living your life and, trying to understand what happened to you, but not let it get to you, to the person that you are now. Because you have to remember, it's like who you are now does not define you and who you were in the SSP. Because you are your own person, you have your own free will. You're not the same person that you were in these programs or abductions.
no, definitely not. I mean, most of it. I mean, I wasn't even in the control. So I mean, whatever alter or whatever happened to me, whether it was, I don't know what exactly, but I mean, most of my missions, I mean, I wasn't even thinking. I was just doing things, and that took a long time for me to actually be able to hear my own inner voice within those dreams, or within those experiences. But I mean, I always considered them dreams, but so yeah, I mean, but that took a progression. It took a long time for me to be able to pull myself out of that. And then even when I did, I mean, I had made so much. It's so hard for me because most of those memories I had was basically something that already happened, and I was a major part in making it happen. And I felt horrible for it because I thought that I was doing this whole completely separate thing, but really they were just using us to do exactly what we were trying to prevent. And I felt super betrayed, and I mean, I wanted revenge. There's no doubt. I mean, that was what kind of, because it seemed like whatever that world was. I don't know if the future or whatever the hell. But everybody was mind controlled. There was no more free will. It was just a bunch of drones. Everybody was like these towers everywhere, and everybody was kind of, and I hated it. I mean, I didn't. Anyways, I felt bad. I mean, that's why even now when might be still working for one of these guys, and it's like I still don't know. I mean, it's just it's hard. It's kind of. I mean, it's definitely hard.
And you had an experience in one of the recalls where you were battling some kind of a general or something, and he was wearing a monocle on his eye.
He was a cyborg. Yeah, it was a cyborg that had a German accent. I mean, with a monocle and kind of a curly. We definitely had a mustache. But yeah, definitely. I mean, I was on a mission. I guess I'd already done what I was supposed to do, and I was running. I was near the end of it, and I was out of bullets. I was out of ammunition, and I was surrounded, and I was just basically waiting to get shot or get killed or whatever they were going to do to me. So I just stopped and threw down my gun because I was done. And he wanted to have he said there's no honor in killing somebody without a gun, and he wanted to fight me hand to hand, and I mean, my training kicked in, and I subdued him and picked up his own weapon and shot him 3 times in the head like it was nothing, and kept going. So I felt like I was the monster in that kind of position. So, but that was when it was the first time I ever remember thinking in all those dreams. Like that first time I remember being like, that was a lot different than what they made him out to be. Like I was expecting something else, and that was unusual behavior, and it made me think. But I think that was kind of like the crack, like that started something, because after that, like that's when it seemed like that started the progression where I started really questioning things. Even in that, because before that, it was like I said, I was just reacting. I knew my mission, and I knew nothing else mattered. There was nothing else. I mean, there was not even a thought in my head. It was just get behind this, shoot this. There was no mind. I mean, I was just like an extension of somebody else's hand, or being controlled by a remote control or something. So, yeah, I mean, anyways, definitely a process. And I'm not even sure who that was for. I don't know if that was, what faction that was for. Because I had no idea. I don't know. I mean, I was fighting a cyborg Nazi, so I don't know if that's Darkfleet, because why would I be fighting a German-speaking cyborg guy if I was working for Darkfleet? So I'm not sure. I'm really not. Still a puzzle.
Well, it's interesting. The interplanetary corporate conglomerate actually started out from Nazi assets. So because the Nazis first kind of colonized Mars, they were the first. There's an interesting movie called Iron Sky where the Nazi went, they're a breakaway civilization. They went on the moon, and they created a base to mine iridium as instead of fuel to power their various vehicles and stuff, but they were behind on computer technology. They weren't computer smart. The Earth actually had good holographic technology, but they built one base on the moon, the Nazis. And the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, short for ICC, actually started with some Nazi assets. So, but a bit later, like after the 1930s, 40s, U.S. government assets came in as well, and then other countries. So now it's almost like multicultural project on Mars basis, where you have people from different nations as assets on those Mars bases. So, and ironically, in the cybernetic labs, they create human cyborgs with augmented cybernetic parts. They abduct people, or they trick people into it, and they become cyborgs. So I'm not sure if it's ICC, but they provide the cyborgs. They do build the cyborgs. So maybe it was, an ICC cyborg on a mission, and you were there too with him somewhere.
I mean, hell, I could have been a cyborg. I mean, that's what I don't have a whole lot of, I can't see my body really. I don't have a whole lot of self-awareness in this. I don't remember, like blowing somebody up with a flamethrower or anything. I mean, definitely had hands and things like that, but I don't know. I really feel like there is an AI component to those dreams. So, just because I was so blank slated in a way, I don't know. It's weird.
And those suits, the cybernetic armor suits that the ICC provides for human assets, they are augmented with AI components. And the cyborgs themselves that are, integrated with human body parts, they also have cybernetic suits that they wear for protection against bullets, against laser beam weapons. So it creates this kind of a magnetic shield around the suit armor. And they can walk through walls. They could teleport. The suits have teleporting capabilities, cloaking capabilities, so you can't see the person when the cloak is on. And ETs have it too. And what I learned is I had a military grade stun baton, this huge baton with 1 million volts. And one time I had an ICC ET/human hybrid assassin come into my house to try to kill me and my cat. And I tried to stun it with a baton. And what I learned is you can temporarily disrupt the cloaking frequency of the suit, and it will destabilize the electromagnetic frequency, right? And you'll kind of see them. You'll see them, the shape of whatever being or asset is in your home, and for like less than 2 or 3 seconds, and then they'll recalibrate the suit and they'll be cloaked again. And next time you'll need a higher voltage to stun them, so they'll decloak. And every time it's recalibrated, and you need higher voltage just to disrupt their suit and see them for a minute. And then after a while, that doesn't work anymore because they don't really like electricity disrupting their suits. So that's something that the suits do.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, half his body, that cyborg, was metal. I mean, it was like half. This whole side was all augmented. So, I mean, he was definitely a full-on cyborg, no doubt. And what's strange is, I mean, I was older. Like, I do remember being older. Like, I wasn't like 12, 13. I mean, those dreams started when I was 13, and then they lasted till about 20. Maybe a little bit after that. But that's when and it really was in high school, and the bulk of those military dreams happened. And like I said, I was always way older, and I was always like 10 years older than my teenage self. So that never made sense to me either. I'm like, how the hell am I? So I don't know if that was remembering from my 20 and back, or that was happening at the same time as my 20 and back, or some. I mean, it gets gets kind of tricky trying to piece it all together. So, like I said, I don't know who or what I was working for at that time. So trying to figure it out.
And that's interesting that you say you were older, because sometimes it can happen concurrently, right? You're having your human life, and then the time corporations have the ability to time travel, provide time traveling technology for the various secret space program factions. Mm-hmm. So the time travel component is used for quantum leap time traveling you into any timeline or frequency they want you in. And on one timeline on Earth, you can be younger, and concurrently, when they take you, you're older on another timeline, wherever you are on a mission, because of the time travel component, and then they just return you back to your concurrent life on Earth, like when you're younger. And like you have two different sets of memories of being younger and older at the same time, because it can be a 20 and back, a 40 and back, a 60 and back. It could be anything really because of the time travel component, and it's quantum stuff, quantum technologies. So anything is possible when time travel technology is involved. Like, they can age regress you to any age they want. They have drug serums to keep you young, to make you look older, younger, to make you even look like a different extraterrestrial being. They can change, alter your molecular structure of your DNA and your physical body and make you look like an extraterrestrial. So,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I even have a memory of being born, and it wasn't like I went from some happy light place or anything like that. I mean, I remember looking out at a control, I was on the floor or something. I could see a big wall, and there was a control panel, and there were people behind there. And as whatever's going on, and I'm going back, I realized that I'm going back to Earth, and I'm like really pissed off that I'm going back to Earth. And I was like, I got tricked again, these bastards. I was supposed to be done, and now I'm back here. And like literally the last thing I remembered or said to myself as I was about to forget or just go fully into Earth and forget everything was, it's really confusing down here. And that's kind of been my motto since then. But I don't even know. Like, when it gets really weird real fast, because I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems to be a part of the puzzle, because I felt such an emotional, even now, I still feel that emotion. So, definitely a part of me, or if not programming, something. But another little weird thing.
And I have been talking to Rachelle Stan from Australia, because she recently came out as well, that she's had SSP experiences, and I think she remembers you from Korea, having an experience in Korea on a mission. SSP, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, Rachelle and I don't remember that particular mission in Korea, but I definitely remember Rachelle. I mean, she's one of the few people I do remember, really well, actually. And that's one of the few people that, I mean, my current recalls that have happened within the last 6 months, she's been a part of that. It seemed to be like where we're working for the same group and even within the same team or whatever. And that's kind of, I feel like that psychic connection that we had is kind of crossed the time-space barrier or something, as weird as that sounds. But yeah, I mean, definitely an instant knowing with her, and then a flood of memories that were really out of the blue for me and not what I was expecting at all. So yeah, it's strange. I mean, there's been a whole lot of activity lately, definitely within the last 2 months with us doing missions, and we'll see how it turns out. I would love to be hopeful and think it's going to work out great, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm getting my chain pulled or what, but we'll see.
Yeah, and Rachelle said she's open to you talking about some of the missions you guys have been on, because she has a lot of memory that she's protecting and defending you on various missions, and you guys are a team. You're a paired team.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm hesitant to talk about it because it has to do with my specific abilities up there, which, I had this hard time with because that whole being special thing, and, this not being some sort of weird ego thing. And it's strange because when I was on those missions as a kid, like at the end of my missions, I would basically, everything would go into white light. And it would like sting. It was almost like electricity, and like my fingers felt like my fingers were being shocked, and they stung real bad. And I always thought I was just exploding, like I pressed a self-destruct button or something. But I had another friend tell me that another person who I've had shared recalls with, she thinks that I'm teleporting, and that I have the ability to teleport So I'm used that way, and in certain missions, because I'm the only way out, I get extra protection because I'm the transportation. And Rachelle happens to be my guide, at least the last couple months, and yeah, it's been really strange because there's kind of, I mean, I would love to think that there's, secret space program that's helping parts of the government, and there's these white hats and all this, and I've heard this all before with Benjamin Fulford and all this stuff, so it's hard to get too excited, but that's the theme of missions that we're getting. They seem to be, they seem to be somewhat helpful missions from a certain perspective, and they've been really strange. The one that I guess what was the first one we remember happened to be actually coinciding with the Atlanta airport blackout, and it happened to do with an underground base there, and there was interdimensional. Basically, they were trying to set up a foothold situation and infect people, and then use the airport as a vector to spread across the world, and very psychic beings. Basically, they were kind of octopus related. It was kind of these weird interdimensional octopi that grab on the people and then basically take over. And it was a bunch of us. There was probably a team of 12 to 15 that teleported in there and did what we did, and then teleported out of there real fast. And that was with a bunch of different, in dreams, and a couple other people remember similar things. So like I said, I don't know how this all works, how we're having similar dreams from across the world, and it all has this weird theme to it, but that's what we experienced. It was me, 3 telepaths that seemed to be linked to other psychics back home that all had kind of a helmet on, and they were used for protection. I was there for transport. Rachelle was there to protect me. She had 2 other protectors, and the psychic women, they had protectors also. And we were there to shut that portal and then get out of there, like we were never there. And it ended up going down in like one of these like half seconds of time, like time was slowed down, and it was really, it's really strange. But yeah, I definitely, that's what we put together, the 3 of us. So that was one, and then there was another one where, and I don't have much recall on this one. I'm not gonna lie. This is more Rachelle's. Actually, she was the one who had the main recall, but it involved an underground base on the West Coast and defusing a nuclear weapon there. And what I didn't remember was the afterwards, where we were celebrating the spoils of our victory. And so yeah, it's a lot of weird stuff, and even to the point where my last recall, because for a while there, my where I've been going with all this is that I actually have a current altar up there right now that's still on a floating back, because I left when I was 6, and he's still up there, and I can kind of sometimes, when not the last 2 weeks, but I used to be able, I had kind of a connection with him where I could almost ask him questions. Now, I couldn't ask him real detailed things, but I could kind of get a sense, more of an empathic kind of understanding, because it's really hard to speak with words, but I can get emotions really easily from him. And this is the same person that I have. My experiences with him when I'm kind of with him is like I'm at the back, like I'm seeing through his eyes, but I'm at the back of the bus. Like I'm way in the back of the head, and I can only get a little bit. I can't get audio. I can tell how he's feeling emotionally, but I can't tell what's going on. I can't really make out words or anything like that, but I kind of get a sense of what's going on. But I haven't been having those dreams at all. No recalls in a long time. But the last recall we had was a huge operation where we were blowing up cyborg facilities. And it was more than one planet. It was like 12 different places, because I remember looking at a screen and seeing 12 different fronts where we were fighting. And then that was right after I saw, basically, we were on a planet, we had just landed, and there was a bunch of ships landing and mechs going out, and there's a big troop movement thing. And I was hoping that maybe somebody else had more recalls about this, because it seemed like such a big operation. There had been other people used, and I mean, the only people, and there's been a couple, but not really the confirmation I was hoping for. But we'll see what happens.
And you mentioned that you have an altar. Like, I know that these SSP factions, what they can do is they could take your soul out of your body, put you into clones, put you into other biologically grown beings that aren't clones with ET technology. They could put your soul into a cybernetic body as well. You can have astral experiences in a light body, or you could be in your physical body in these programs. They could transfer your soul even into another body of somebody, a living person whose soul has been taken out of their body and swapped with your soul. So they can do soul transference and hold your soul temporarily in an electromagnetic stasis field, and then put your soul into somebody else or something else. So there's a lot of different ways you can have an SSP experience. You could be the actual asset in your own body doing these things, or your soul could be transferred out of the body when you're abducted or taken, or if it's willing or not. So it could happen in so many different ways. It's interesting.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I'm trying to be able to tell the difference, because it seems like whatever happened to me when I was 6 seems to be different, and that seems to be like my alter now, who, at least from an emotional point of view, does not seem like a complete psychopath freak show, seems to have a sense of humor, and is kind of like me, maybe just military to me, but I mean, we're similar. And I don't know, because that seemed to be different than when I was a child, and then when it seemed like a reptilian face would take me every night, and then I would be trained and used in a kind of separate deal. And I'm guessing those are two separate things. I mean, that's my theory now. Those are separate, altogether things. And so yeah, I mean, it's strange, because at one point I thought that I had one timeline where, my so-called original timeline, where when I got out of college, I joined the Navy and got pulled into one of these secret programs, and I think I might have been involved with time travel then, and then that caused me, or actually a crazy long story about what happened in that it didn't go well, that their little time project got almost like, not like Montauk, but it basically was destroyed, that base, and a lot of us were lost into the void of time, and some of us somehow managed to find our way out of it. And anyway, I'm gonna have to write it all down, because it's way too hard for me to keep in my head and try to speak intelligently about it. But it makes me really wonder, that's all, because I keep trying to wonder why. I feel like they did something to me and then put me right back when I was born. Like, I'm not sure, like, somehow, like, they literally, like, would not regress me, but took me back. Or maybe that's just a regression. Maybe I'm getting confused with that being birth, and that was just one of the times it took me back. But it really felt like it was the first time I was coming down here. So yeah, it's confusing. I mean, I still have a lot of questions, obviously. But like I said, the guides now, they don't seem that bad. I mean, we have normal human interactions. Even the other people I remember, yes, it's military life, but it's not horrible. There's no like crazy psychopathic behavior. There's no weird, like, it's all just pretty normal. If you were in the military, I mean, so I don't know. I don't get the worst feeling from those guys. I feel like they kind of want to keep humanity around. They're, granted, they're abducting us and using us in these horrible ways, but they're not. It's not like Monarch or these whatever being. It's like they're not like the interdimensional shadow beings that are just freaky crazy. I mean, they're kind of just up there doing the thing. So whether they're actually good or bad, that's not my judgment to do, but they definitely seem to be wanting to help humanity right now. Or I'm completely being mind controlled. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Which do.
Well, mind control is something that these SSP factions do, and the My Labs as well, and Monarch Solutions, Kruger. I remember being trained to open various different portals and start gateway portals when I was before 15, before I was sent to the SSP on Mars through the Quantum Leap Time Traveling Program, as it's called, the long name. Every time I say it, I just want to smile because it's a mouthful. But Monarch Solutions, they trained me to open the portals and hold the portal with my psionic abilities. Hold it open, go from point A on Earth to point B in a different location, to hold the psionics, hold the ability, and walk through the portal as I keep the portal open and then close it after I've gone through it. So you being able to open portals and, take people through them and take yourself through it, that sounds like you've had training in it and you have that ability with psionics. And I remember you mentioned that on Earth, you don't have that amplified ability anymore.
No. No, I definitely would have made a YouTube video or one or two if that was the case. No, I don't have it. Nothing. I mean, I feel like I'm a little empathic, but that's really no crazy psychic powers. But scarily, I definitely remember. I didn't know what to make of these experiences. Now I think they were actually training exercises, or I was actually psychically ending people's life. I'm not sure where I was being used. I had a lot of memories of being in other people's bodies as they choked to death, and I never knew. It really messed me up as a kid, to the point where I was, I had an ulcer when I was 7. Stomach ulcer from all this stress and all this crazy shit at night, and so I don't know. I mean, that's when they say I would be another person. It could be the whole spectrum, from older black lady to like the whole 9 yards, and they would always choke out, and I'd have to like give up trying to fight for life and just let it happen, and then I would pop back into my original body or this body, and I felt like my life force was so thin that if I sneezed wrong, I would die. And for the longest time, I thought maybe I was having sleep apnea or something like that, but I don't know anymore, because it's like the other day I had it just was really emotional after thinking about some of the stuff, and it's like I could feel this, because I think what was happening is my altar was killing those people, but as it was doing it, it was like myself was still picking up on a little bit of their emotional content and a little bit of their soul as it left. And I felt a whole bunch of souls, and really scary when I was, hardcore.
Well, we often have traumatic memory recalls of what's happened, of what we've done, what's happened to us in these SSP factions, and we just have to work through it and process it. Like, give it time to process everything, to really work through it. Like, I don't show emotion in any of my videos or presentations or interviews, because I put the emotion aside so I could really listen to the person, to their experience, without judgment, without, bias. It's your experience, what happened to you, and you should be allowed to tell it and to talk it out and work through it, and actually talk to other SSP experiencers to see what's what, like who you remember, where you were, because we all can provide a bit of the missing puzzle pieces and put a bigger picture together. So sometimes it's just really taking your time to remember what happened through these memory regression hypnosis sessions, or or going to a good professional hypnosis therapist, or a channeler like Carl Mollison. He was an interesting person who, I think he talked to your higher self, right?
Yeah, I got a reading from him, for sure. Yeah. He didn't tell me anything I didn't already know. He told me I was involved with programs, and, certain things, but I've actually had other sections that I've gotten actually a lot more from. Not that anything bad, just I've seen it resonate with another fella a little bit more, and yeah, I've done a lot of. I didn't know what to make of it, and it was all just like, wow, okay, that's crazy. Like, that's. But I mean, the more I get involved with all this, it seems like it's like I said, it's weaving this crazy, weird narrative together that hopefully I'll be able to speak about intelligently one of these days. But it's definitely. I mean, it definitely helps to have. I mean, if I didn't have anybody to talk to about all this, yeah, I would have gone crazy a long time ago. So yeah, that. I mean, having Ted and Rachelle to talk to has really been. I mean, that's really what's changed a lot, because I can, instead of just keeping this all inside and not telling anybody, I can actually kind of throw these ideas against somebody else, and it's, I can kind of feel it out a little bit more, and get feedback and see how they feel and all that good stuff. So that's the one thing that's really changed, is just meeting some other people that I don't feel so crazy around. that's really what's been the best thing from talking about all this.
Exactly, and having people that are similar to you, who are not trying to vet you, whether you were in the SSP or not, just comparing notes, like them understanding you've had these experiences, you were in the SSP, taking your word for it, and not like questioning you or not competing with you about your experiences and what happened, about really just genuinely caring about the people who you're interacting with. Because I know some other whistleblowers who claim to be in the SSP, they're like not very sympathetic, and they tell you, no, you were never in the SSP. They don't really care about your experiences, hearing you out. They're like, no, and whatever. It's like a competition to them. To us, it's quite different. We're reaching out to each other to actually understand what happened to us. And there is, you have to be compassionate, you have to be sympathetic, you have to be non-judgmental to all of this, because like, if you don't have anybody to talk to, you're on your own trying to figure this out. So that's not cool either. So we need to be open-minded, we need to be compassionate, sympathetic, and understanding of others, more so now than ever. Because more SSP experiencers are coming out and sharing their stories. This is not a competition. This is not a race. This is real people having experiences that are out of this world. It's like sci-fi in real life, and it is your real life to some point.
Crazy, yeah. Yeah, I think there's definitely an effort to control the narrative, and I don't know how you can discount somebody else's crazy stories and only believe your own. That sounds that didn't work for me that well. So, yeah, we definitely have to have an open mind, and even people that I thought were, maybe I didn't trust at first. Like now, I'm like, well, I've had to look at them differently and really analyze what they say. Like, why am I having an emotional reaction to what they're saying? I mean, who knows what they've gone through? And like I said, I guess because I kind of got into this like hoping it was some sort of crazy government mind control. Like I was like, please God, this is just some weird. They're throwing dreams at me, and I'm making this real and filling in the blanks and all this crap, and but like the last couple of nights, the dreams have been. Well, I've had 2 of these over the past week. Well, 2 weeks, but I'll have a dream that I know is bullshit. I'll know I'm like, this seems fake as shit, and then I'll pop out of it, and with whatever site that is, I've seen a ship. I've seen a ship twice now, where it's beaming a damn dream into my head. Where I thought that something else was beaming me dreams about ships. No, it's ships beaming me dreams. So it's interesting. It's really weird, because there's all these things that you have to basically deal with inside and get really good at your intuition. And I think the best thing for me was to learn how to categorize dreams. They have the same feeling, they have the same background energy, they have the same, even emotional content, or they're always taking it at one place, and I kind of, okay, maybe this is that, and maybe this is that, and maybe this is that, and kind of let that unfold a little bit, and that's really given me a lot of clarity, because then I'm like, well, that was a lot like that dream. It had that same feeling, had the same vibe, had the same texture to the reality there, so you can kind of start maybe at least making categories in your head. I mean, that's really helped me, and I also had some parts of myself that were kind of lost in my dream body that I had to bring back, and sometimes they're still stuck in these weird dream worlds. As weird as that sounds, I definitely have experienced that.
And you've said that you felt like there had been an earthquake by your house, and your house was shaking.
Yeah, that was that wasn't in a dream. That was real life. I mean, I'm real sensitive to earthquakes. I'm ridiculously sensitive to earthquakes, and it was midday, and I was on call, and I had crappy night of sleep, and I was just sitting here, it's kind of bored, and I just kind of laid down for a second, and I felt, kind of wobble, and kind of heard the house creaking a little bit, and I was like, oh, that's probably, a 2.5, some low, really low, maybe a 3 earthquake, just enough to feel it, but not to do anything. But, it kept going and going and going. It was like 8 minutes of this, still feeling this like whole wobbly, wobbly, wobbly. And I'm like, okay, that's just weird. And like I said, it's only in my mind's eye. I didn't see this in real life, but I was wondering what the hell was going on. And in my mind's eye, like right above my house, a ship decloaked, a gigantic circular ship with arms coming off and ships in the background. I mean, it was like a really big ship, and I didn't get a negative vibe or anything. It just kind of felt like it was just kind of let me know that it was there, and that was that. I mean, unfortunately, I have experiences like that all the damn time. So, but yeah, I don't. I mean, it was strange. I mean, like I said, it was half a second, and like it decloaked for half a second, and I could psychically see it for a little bit. I did not see it in real life. Unlike the dreams where I woken up and actually seen the damn ship outside the window. So that's.
And so there wasn't any actual physical 2.5, 2.2 earthquake recorded anywhere on USGS, or the neighbors didn't feel anything either. It was just you.
Just me, and the dogs were barking too. So, yeah, that was just another little weird thing. One of a gazillion, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it seemed friendly. It didn't seem bad. It didn't seem nefarious. They weren't trying to, put something in my mind or anything. It was more just like, hey, we're here. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, like sometimes I felt my house vibrating too. You live in a cabin, right? So you felt the creak.
Yeah, I mean, I live in an old wood house. Yeah, I know, as you can tell. Definitely, I mean, it creaked for sure. I mean, it felt like gravity was being fluctuated, honestly. And that's really what it felt like.
Because these ships might be creating some kind of a electromagnetic wake, or something, gravity being altered, and you feel the frequency of the shift as that ship is decloaking. And you can see it psychically, even though it's physically not there. You can see the psychic energy of that ship decloaking to say, "Hi, we're here for you."
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. I mean, that's kind of what I got from it. I mean, I didn't. That's definitely what it felt like. I mean, it felt like something weird going on with gravity, and then I saw that ship, and I was like, well, that's weird. And like I'd already even forgot about it, so glad you reminded me. But yeah, that was strange. Big, silver, circular ship. Like that was I could tell, like when it decloaked, it's like I could finally feel its mass, and it was very massive. Like I could feel that it was like, whoa, that's really big, But it didn't seem that far up, It only seemed like maybe a mile and a half, mile, like not crazy high up at all. And it was definitely right there. And then I went and looked outside after that vision. Of course, didn't see anything, but yeah, or nothing weird.
Have you ever seen like black helicopters flying near your house or over your house?
I have videotaping pictures of black helicopters flying over my house. So yes.
Have you been like in the military or the army?
Don't take orders real well. So yeah, never did it. Never really joined a group. It's like something they did to me. Like I just like no groups for me. I don't even join anything. So yeah, no, not a big, no, nothing like that. I was offered an officership when I got out of college, but I declined it, basically because I didn't want to be used like I had been in those dreams, and then thinking that I was doing something good, and then that turned out I was doing something really bad. So that's always been a big fear of mine. So I really felt like I was trying to do something different this time, like from a subconscious point of view. Like I was just like, I got to do something completely different than I did last. I mean, as crazy as that sounds, like that's literally what I kind of felt like.
Has anybody in your family ever been in the military or the army?
No. Mm-mm. Nothing that I know of. I wonder about my grandfather, but if he was in something secret. But yeah, nothing. A lot of, like I said, a lot of. I used to get taken to the lodge all the time as a kid, so I had more of that Masonic thing going on.
Well, sometimes Freemasonry, it could have a connection with these secret space program factions, but it's more military and army. If there's like a history of family members being in the army, the military, Freemasons, or other societies, sometimes that has a connection to us becoming an asset, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just about your genetics and your psionic abilities. That's why they take you as an asset, because you're valuable to them in something that you can do. They think you're special because of your psionics.
Mm-hmm.
In your case, probably opening portals and providing transportation. That's pretty valuable to them. They think that's valuable.
Well, I mean, I have a whole other self timeline that I remember, in which I was used in a similar way. It was not me. It's maybe an alternate me or another parallel Earth me. But yeah, I was definitely. I mean, I was basically hooked up to I kept seeing myself like basically hooked into this giant machine, and I could never free myself out. I thought it was some part of my soul or something, like one of these things, and it took me a long time to get that out, but I was basically connected to a big quantum computer, and I was the interface for their portal program. Like I was how they transported, like they used my ability amplified with the quantum computer to open up portals, and that was their own little Stargate thing. And that was really weird. It was only when I learned that I actually could teleport, that's when I was able to teleport that self out of there. But yeah, that was a pretty crazy story.
And you've also had somebody following you and watching you and observing you.
Yeah, another big reason why I explored any of this, because I had somebody who identified themselves as a private contractor from the DoD that was here in town to give a test. He said it to me 3 times, and I was like, okay, dude, like what? And this was before, I had just booked my first hypnotic regression therapy, and this person showed up in my life the next day, and yeah, I still see him probably once a month. Just makes an appearance, make sure I know that whatever, he knows that I know, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I definitely have had some strange experiences. He definitely made it seem like he'd been out to my house and knew things about my childhood. And, I was asked to do this. I was asked to do a filming in LA for an alien abduction show. And when I came back, there was a brass knuckle on my front porch. So I've definitely gotten some harassment. I mean, but I live out in the country, so it's pretty obvious, and I have a bunch of big dogs, so you gotta really want to mess with me if you want to mess with me. Just put it that way.
And this person from the DoD, he actually showed up to your place of business and asked you for a service.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's a really crazy story. But he came. So I booked that hypnosis on a Friday. That Saturday he showed up, and then he booked another appointment for that following Thursday when my hypnosis session was on Wednesday. So the day after I got done, and he said he hadn't had a massage in 20 years. I'm like, okay, whatever. That's kind of strange. You're getting 2 in 5 days or whatever, but whatever. People do things, and I just thought he was kind of a weirdo, but I didn't really think much of it until after the first massage. I walked outside and he was sitting in his car, and he just had a completely different look than what he had been portraying. He kind of been portraying this kind of happy-go-lucky older frat dude kind of vibe, and it was a completely different thing. So I was like, that's weird. I didn't sense that coming from this guy. And then the second massage after the hypnosis, that's when he made a comment that that he didn't have a childhood like mine, and I'd never mentioned a single thing about my childhood. I mean, nothing. And then I realized that, okay, this guy he has a dossier or something on me. This is more than just some weirdo. So yeah, and he also that's when he made claims about that really made me think that he'd been out to my house, and even at one point he actually, I guess, felt threatened by me, and I was giving the massage, and as I was getting down on one knee to get a better angle, I guess he thought I was going for a weapon or something, and he jumps up off the table with his hand cocked back, ready to strike me, and I just played real passive and scared and dumb, and I'm in a kind of vulnerable position in the massage room, so I just played it cool as I could, and but yeah, that was my interaction with him, and I have it all kind of written down. I had the whole story kind of written down on my blog, where it kind of goes into more of the gritty details, but yeah, absolutely, that's what made me think that something's going on. It's like, why? I mean, even if I was just a regular abductee, like, why are they sending somebody to check up on me? This doesn't make sense. Like, I'm just a nobody. Like, I don't, I made those videos just because I was lonely as shit, and I was like, maybe somebody else is going through this, and then I started getting really scared for my life, especially after that, because I had a black SUV follow me home that day after that massage, and a couple of my dogs went missing, and it just got real kind of scary for a bit. And I made a video saying that I wasn't going to commit suicide, or if an accident happens the next couple of days, and investigate it, because I'm not suicidal, and I'm not going to do that. And something I didn't want to be just suicided out here in the middle of nowhere. No one ever knew anything, so I guess I got mad and went public even more, and here I am. So.
Oh, sometimes going public is the best thing that can really save you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I was being paranoid or not, but I definitely was definitely afraid for my life at that time, for sure. I had a close incident where I kind of got ran off the road. And I don't have film of it, so I can't prove it, but I had 3 cars that all veered off into my lane at the same time, and I just dove off into the ditch. Because I kind of felt it coming in a way. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely been stuff like that where it's just weird. You just don't, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know if I'm just in a route of the black helicopters, or the damn black helicopters are coming to see me. But I mean, my first black helicopter, that was, and I had woke up one morning and I had these crazy ass burns on I had straight up burns on my back, like my whole back. I mean, it's just huge marks, and I was like, holy crap, like this is weird. And I'd had a dream the night before that I was on a ship, but I was on like a regular ship where it wasn't like, and I was by myself, which was weird. Usually I was always a gray or something's always by me, walking me somewhere, and I was like, all by myself. That's weird. Um, yeah, and that next morning, I literally had, I had a freaking like helicopter circle my house. I mean, it was 100 feet off the ground. I mean, right above the trees, to the point where my dogs and my chickens are squawking. My dogs are all barking. So, I mean, definitely something really strange is going on. I don't, just after all that, as I started really thinking, I was like, well, maybe I am a part of this SSP thing. Because I really didn't want to be. Here I am, like I said, but it's definitely helped meeting some other people that have gone through the same stuff. And that's really been the best thing that's come out of all this.
And
helped me learn so much.
And it's what you say, that you think that these experiences are weird. I think of them as normal now, because I've had a few things happen to me too. What happened like in it was a year and a half ago. It was summer. I was working on the releasing presentation about the Cybernetic ICC Mars labs, right? And it was like kind of like 6 p.m. or something, so it was still light outside. We heard, my mom was outside in the backyard. We heard gunshots, and we used to live near a forest, like almost in the forest itself. So we heard like 3-4 gunshots, and there was this military helicopter circling around our house for like 40 minutes. And I heard the rotors thwop, 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 thwop. And what I got was that there was a manhunt and they were after somebody. Mm-hmm. And my mom saw this and she's like yelling to me, "What are you doing? What are you working on? There's this strange thing going on now." And none of the neighbors came out to see it. Nobody, right. It's almost like it was the Mandela effect, and it only happened to my mom and me that we got to see and hear this. And I checked the news. I checked even the more alternative sites that might report on stuff like that. Nothing. Nowhere did I hear about a manhunt, that they were out to catch somebody. But this military helicopter was flying over my house for about 30-40 minutes. They did like 10-12 rotations and over the area where I lived. So and my mom's like, "Who are they hunting? Who did they shoot? Who did they catch?" And I'm like, "Some fugitive."
Right.
Because I could psychically sense these things. So my mom's like yelling to me out of the backyard, "Nobody's coming out to see this. Nobody's like, why aren't the neighbors like paying attention? What's going on?" She knows about my SSP stuff. So she's like, "Whatever you're working on, finish it up, publish it already, so this all goes away." And I'm like, okay, I'm almost done. Don't worry about it, Mumsy.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like the day I wrote my blog about my experience, that guy showed up at my work later that day, and I always check to see when he makes his appointments, and it's always like 30 minutes beforehand. So it's not like I just happened to be coincidence. I would be great if it was coincidence, but it just seems not to be every damn time. And it definitely adds a different element to all this, because you're like, oh yeah, this is, like I said, I wanted to be on my head, but then I'm getting all this other stuff, and I'm like, man, what in the hell is going on? And this guy, he was afraid of me. Like, he was literally like afraid of me, like physically afraid of me. And I have no history of violence. I've never I've never been arrested for anything or anything like that. So there's no reason to like freak out about me, and it was just a really strange, still, obviously, but I've done my own little recon on him, so I kind of feel a little bit secure. If something does happen to me, I have stuff, so just in case.
And he's an older gentleman?
He is, yeah. Now, I've looked him up, Google searched him, and all that good stuff. And he actually showed up that same day I did that, by the way. Because I didn't do it at my house, I did it at work, and then he showed up later. So, and then that when he showed up about me writing the blog post, I hadn't even published it yet. Like, I had just written it, and somehow, it was just a lot of, this weird things. You're like, man, that's really weird coincidence that you're here today, And so yeah, I mean, I basically know everything I'm saying right is being read by somebody. So whatever.
Well, they like to bug our laptops, our computers, our cell phones, our TVs, anything they can bug. Or put little micro cameras somewhere in our house to spy on us, or spy through us through other people. It's like there's eyes in the sky. Eyes are watching us everywhere we are. So it's like it's all recorded. It's all on audio, video. They listen in on people's conversations. Like there's key terms, secret space program, that's when they start listening. Aliens, that's when they tune in to listen. It's like there's certain words that are programmed into syntax to pick it up when the AI programming is scanning all these logs of recorded conversations, audio and video. There's specific terminology that the syntax tries to catch and alert whoever, the whoever's in charge of monitoring all this recorded stuff, because they don't want to be sitting there listening for hours on end through meaningless conversation. So they have the AI syntax checking for the important bits, like when those certain terms come up, then they go and look at the footage to listen in. Okay, what are they talking about and why? Is this something important? Does the DOJ, the DOD, NSA, CIA, FBI NSA need to get involved in this? Or do we notify top brass and the military industrial complex that there's a situation they need to deal with? It's off-world, it's aliens or whatnot, or higher SSPs, factions. So like, who do we need to call in to deal with this particular situation?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had people come to work with it, some very scary looking folk that seem to purposely want to catch my eye and look me down, and they definitely got that, but they've done some bad things in their life, let's put it that way. Look in their eyes, and I mean, whatever. I mean, you're gonna do it. For a long time I thought they maybe thought I was an alien. Maybe they think I'm an alien, like maybe I'm like one of these hybrid or something. I didn't know. I mean, just like, my whole point with these guys is like, I'm not a threat. That was the only thing I was trying to. Wasn't trying to be snappy or snarky or anything. It was just like, I am not a threat. I'm not violent. Like I'm not. You're not going to trigger me. Like I don't have some damn blatant super. I mean, if I do, especially the first conversation, he said a bunch of weird things at first, and I was like, kind of looked at him like, what are you talking about? But it might have been trigger words. I'm not sure. I don't remember what he said. I mean, it's kind of random stuff. When he was a new client, so I didn't really pay attention. I wasn't like, anyways. But yeah, I mean, that was what I was most worried. I was so worried about somebody's going to walk up to me. I was making a phone call, and they're like, some weird phrase, and then what are your orders? I was so worried about that for so long, and I really don't think that's the case. I mean, even my dreams, like that one when I was controlled, I'm even getting better at like realizing what's going on in my dream space. So I feel like them trying to trigger me into doing some crazy shit ain't gonna work. I really hope so. I pray for that.
Well, it's interesting, the phone calls. I just did a few weeks back a roundtable with Kevin Trammell and Penny Bradley and Don Pefalo, and Don's house was recently, somebody fired off a clip with a gun near his house. He covered his daughter just in case, to protect her, because he heard the gunshots. Car passing by, and some guy unloading clips on him near Don's house, and there was police everywhere afterwards and trying to figure out what happened. And then Don's mom, their cat died recently. The cat had unexplainable burns, and the cat died. It was suffering for a couple of weeks, and this happened right between the times when we were doing the roundtable series, when Don was publishing this. And I was talking to Don about some other things that have been happening to me. So that's the time range. And then I get at 3 a.m., The day after I talked it on, I get a phone call. It's blocked. I hear I hear a computer voice, the operator's voice. It's computer simulated, saying that this is a blocked number. It has been blocked for security purposes and reasons because this is a known terrorist phone number. It's blocked. You will not be talking to this person. I'm like, oh, a terrorist. Okay. So I tried dialing the number again, and it says it's blocked for security reasons. It is blocked because it is a terrorist number. You will not be able to dial this number because security reasons, blocked, terrorist. That triggered a memory for me of when I was working in a synagogue in about like after I graduated from college, you know, fresh out as a secretary, and we got this phone call from a terrorist. This was right after 9/11, so like a year or two after 9/11, and it was a synagogue. So, and this phone call, apparently it was a guy sitting in a psych ward in a Toronto prison, and somehow he was able to get access to make phone calls, and he called the synagogue in Canada, in one of the provinces where I am in BC. He hit up the synagogues, so I had to keep him on the phone for like an hour so the police could track where he was calling from, which was a Toronto prison in the psych ward. You're not even supposed to get privileges for phone calls in a psych ward of a prison. Yet this guy somehow conned his way into getting phone call privileges.
Yeah, I'm sure he wasn't given those privileges, or given a list of numbers to dial, too.
Yeah, and he was going, well, how do you feel about being Jewish? How do you feel about 9/11? How do you feel about Israel? I'm like, yeah, I lived in Israel when I was small. I'm half Jewish, but that doesn't mean anything. It does not imply anything. I was a small kid when I lived in Israel. So somehow this wacko crazy terrorist guy knew things about me that, and I hadn't come out yet with any of this. So I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And I was using a paper cutter actually to cut brochures, and I was like stressed. Like my hands were shaking after this phone call because I was supposed to use the paper cutter. So I was like, oh my God, what is this? Like, why did I have to keep this idiot on the phone to try to figure out where he was? Because he was a terrorist and the police needed to track him down. I'm like, and then this phone call with this blocked call saying that this was a terrorist phone number and was blocked for security reasons, that I'm like, oh my goodness.
Perfectly triggered.
Yeah, it triggered that old memory of when I worked in the synagogue, and that's something that really happened. So I'm like, and I tell people,
go ahead, sorry.
And sometimes people complain about their jobs where they work, and I tell them, your job is much nicer than that experience where I worked in a synagogue once upon a time.
That's true. Yeah, when they pulled up I was the last dream where I felt like I knew I was in a dream state. It was way too clear. It looked like a damn TV screen. It was so clear, and I was like, man, something's weird here. And I heard some voice, and I was like, shit. I just screamed, show yourself in the dream. And my grandmother shows up. My that who's been dead for 20 years, and who I love dearly. So they definitely were pulling the string on me. And I was like, looked at it, and I was like, oh, and I was like, wait, that's not Grandma, like I could just tell something off, and I was like, this is bullshit. And then that's when I saw the damn ship way up in the damn sky. And it was trying to project itself like it was a damn bird. And I was like, no, it's not a bird, it's a damn ship up there. And it was just like, these weird illusions within illusions and pulling things out of your subconscious, things that you're nice and emotionally needy for you to get a reaction out of you. Like Rachelle and I, we had this super intense dreams with our exes the same night, and it just is like, what is going on, and to the point where it was crazy intense dream, and then a whole bunch of programming where they're trying to reactivate programming afterwards for both of us. And it was just, I just don't. It's weird. It's really strange, and yet when I have those dreams where I feel like I'm with my altar, it's like they feel completely different. I mean, it's so hard to explain. They feel different. It's like there's this a different, completely different feeling. There's nothing trying to like force you to see something. You're just seeing it like it's kind of just organically happening, and it's not near as clear, and it's kind of grainy, not grainy, but it's just like you're not getting the full picture. So yeah, I mean, like I said, this whole trying to figure out, categorize my dreams it's kind of definitely helped me out.
Mm-hmm. And dreams are a window to a person's soul, just like your eyes. And sometimes what you think is a dream is actually memory recall of events that have happened.
Indeed. Yeah, and that definitely seems to be the case too. I mean, I remember having a dream not too long ago, probably 20 years ago, where I was 5 or 6 little kid, and I was late to some meeting, and honestly, it felt like we were on a space station. I'm not gonna lie. I was wearing a light kind of egg-colored jumpsuit, and you're gonna think this is crazy, but it's made me think. It's one of those experiences that made me think that I did work for Darkfleet at some time, because when I finally get to my destination, like I get up to there, it's like the headmistress was a black lady, and I was like really excited to see a black person. I'm just happy to see a black person here, like not trying to be racist because I was 5, but totally being racist. But it makes me really think that I must have been in a place where there wasn't any. So it makes me think that I had something to do with Darkfleet, because the rest of that dream, I went into a big auditorium, and there was probably 2,000 or 3,000 kids in there, and it seemed like that was our like opening initiatory little SSP thing. No, that's definitely. So yeah, I mean, and like I said, that was only like 10, 15 years ago. I was 25, dreaming that I was 5 again. So it definitely seems like sometimes the dreams can be completely out of linear time. It doesn't have to do with that at all.
Yeah, I have a memory of wearing this some kind of a silver whitish suit, like best analogy, Star Trek uniforms, except it was silver white and it was more form-fitting. And I was sitting at some kind of a computer console. I was wearing a holographic visor or something, and I was checking databases for information. And there was this huge bio wall behind me with trees and plants in a glass kind of a dome or something. It had plants growing in a glass terrarium, basically. So, and this was somewhere on one of the Mars ICC bases. And I was a young woman with brown hair. I was like mid-20s in that memory recall. And I actually ended up working in a research library. So, and they had a bio wall with plants and trees too. So that was like the Mars one had a bio wall, and the research facility where I was working here on Earth, like just my job, I just worked in a research place, and it had a bio wall as well. So I'm like, this can't be a coincidence. Something is related here.
For sure. I mean, like your higher self seeping through what you definitely like, or I don't know, definitely. There is this weird fractalization of things, it seems like. I have the same really bad humor, my alter and me, like that seems to somehow cross the whatever time-space continuum. But so that seems to be most of the memories that I have are these kind of lighthearted memories. I don't remember a lot of the hardcore stuff, a little bit, only the recent stuff, and then the dreams. But if I'm just having a recall with somebody that I met, I'm not remembering like us being bogged down or something, or getting shot at. It's more like that time I tripped him, and when he was walking by and I just fell in front of it's like stupid shit where it's not like your typical, I don't know, kind of having fun, joking around.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I remember the more, because where I was on the ICC Mars bases, ICC they ran it like a military base. Like you were sleeping in I was sleeping in a large room with 12 other bunks, 11 other people with me, and that's your working unit group who you work with. There's like 2 tables and chairs and a bathroom, right? But that you share that bathroom with 11 other people. That's your communal bathroom in that huge room where there's 12 bunks and racks where you put your sleeping gear, where you put your clothing and stuff. And then you work with those people on whatever project you're assigned, and then you're moved to a different unit in maybe a different facility. And again, you're sharing 12 bunks in this large room with chairs and tables, and you work with that unit group again until you're transferred elsewhere. Sometimes I was transferred off the bases to the interplanetary corporate conglomerate space station platforms, and I'd work there because they have 4 of these things, and then I'd be transferred back to the bases, and it was military style. You do not have any interpersonal, intimate relations with whoever you work with. They're your working unit on whatever project you're assigned. You know, when you're off duty, that's when you can do your own private things. You were provided clothing, jumpsuits, all that stuff, and you worked like 12 hours a day. So that it was very military regimen. You work, you eat, you sleep, and then you work again, and then you have like a few hours to yourself once in a while.
Yeah, I mean that's. Yeah, see, I have other. I wonder. I think I must have been working for one of the Merc groups because I have different experiences. Like, you know, it seemed not to be as. I mean, I had definitely had relations with some of my coworkers. So yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure. Now, I thought it was Kruger, and that kind of makes sense, but I don't. It's not like I have had a recall with Anthony in it or anything like that, or. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly who I was working for, but it definitely seemed a little bit more. I don't know if they're just trying to do something for me specifically or what, but we definitely seem to take liberties in some of our activities. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I remember having these implants in my head. So ocular in the eyes and in the back of the head. I call them cybernetic implants, where you can't really see what the implant is made out of, because Neuralink, I call them Neuralink, cybernetic Neuralink implants, where they're made out of small nanofibers, like fiber optics, you know, like small, thinner than a hair, and it's coated with gold and other materials. It's like little threads running through your brain into your eyes. And I call them Neuralink implants because they record video and audio. And that information, whatever experience you're having, interaction with anybody, anything, it always records you, and it passes on that telemetry to your superiors. That's what I remember on Mars. They were particularly interested in the ET interactions because they said I was going to be assigned to the Mars colonists, to the original ET colonists living on Mars, as a species interchange program to get to know them and stuff, when I was really spying on them and bringing back intel unknowingly to my superiors on Mars. So I was friendly, I was nice to the ETs, everything was good, I was learning their culture, society, information about them, where they lived, what they did, all of that stuff, but unknowingly I was a spy stooge for the SSP superiors.
Yeah, actually, I've come to find out that a current theory that I'm playing with is that was actually being used by another branch to spy on the Merc group or whoever I was working for. And, there seems to be a lot of that going on, which of course. That's how it is down here, so why wouldn't it be up there? But yeah, that's definitely. I mean, it's it's very exopolitics. I mean, it's a lot of moving parts all the time. Everybody's got a different agenda, and then here we are in the middle of it, trying to just get our souls back, more or less.
Exactly. And I mean, what else I remember from Mars, being on the ICC basis, is that they had reptilian human hybrids, which looked very beautiful. And they also had some Nordic hybrids as well, working with the human assets to partner us up on projects, on scientific projects, on recon projects, and they would observe how we did our work and make notes on that. I remember a reptilian hybrid, beautiful woman who had reptilian kind of like scales and semi-translucent greenish blue scales. I could tell she's half reptilian, but very beautiful with striking human features as well. I remember working with her, and I remember working with a Nordic human hybrid. And they monitored my work progress on certain projects. So, and I saw other ET human hybrids working with human assets, human personnel on those Mars bases, and I'm like, well, there's not just human interaction. There's ET human hybrid interaction. They're ET human hybrids working with us on these programs. So there's a lot of ET influence. There's a lot of AI influence in this.
That's for sure. I definitely know the AI. That's definitely feel like I've had to deal with that, no doubt.
So, yeah, it's like our experiences. We like to compare notes. We're not competing. We're not doing this for money. We're just here sharing our experiences.
I hate talking about the things that make me special in a way. I mean, it's like it feels, I don't know. I mean, it's just so easy to take that the wrong way. And I really have I figured out, I didn't want to talk about them until I could do them in this world, but I don't know if it's going to happen this time around. But, it definitely seems to be a part of it. I mean, or even maybe the main reason why I was even taken in the first place.
Well, I feel normal talking about all of this because for me, I've had so much weird stuff happen to me in life, from being abducted by reptilians when I was young, 2 to 10. Mm-hmm. They infected me with nanotech technology that just went in my bloodstream and ruined my autoimmune system, my central nervous system. So for me, I've had the ET abductions, the ET contact experiences, the Monarch Solutions training, secret space program, being an asset for them, for ICC faction, and a little bit of Dark Fleet, not much that I remember, but a little interactions, and that's basically it, like a 60 and back. So people are like, you're so young, how could this happen to you? You're like, you don't look 60, you don't feel 60, you don't talk like you're 60. I'm like, I don't have to look physically 60 to have had a 60 and back, because they age regress you, they wipe your memory, age regression, so they can make you look younger or older. It doesn't matter to them. They have the ability for time travel, for time dilation, for different time slipstreams. They could put you in a different reality for all they care, and you're an asset to them. That's how you're used. So for me, like, I don't have to look 60 to have done in 60 and back, because it's age regression. Drug serums to make you younger or older. They have those abilities. They have the resources to do all of that.
They absolutely do. Yeah. I'm getting a bad echo right now.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. There it goes.
Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, like I said, I knew something had gone on. I really didn't want it to be SSP. Here we are.
It's okay. It's normal. Like, I've had people contacting me and asking me through email and stuff, do you remember me on this mission or that mission? We did this together, and I'm like, maybe. That's your experience. That's what you went through. If you remember me in it, that's fine, but I can't corroborate one way or the other. I might remember you somewhat, but that's my memory. What you're telling me is your experience. It's not my experience per se. And because people are looking for answers, I'm like, I will never validate you or confirm this or that. I am not that way. I don't do that in emails. That's I don't believe in those tactics and doing that. I've had that happen to me with somebody who I just wanted to ask, well, do you know about these Mars ICC base locations? And the person got all and wanted to know personal things against me and used those personal details against me and something else. So a whistleblower, so who did that to me. I'm like, I'm not going to do those kinds of email practices. I'm never doing that. I'm never vetting you. I'm never confirming or denying anything. It's your experiences. This is what happened to you. It's yours. It's not mine.
Yeah, no, it's just me. I mean, I have a really hard time personally dealing with this. It's not. I mean, I just feel like like life would be a lot easier if I didn't have all this crap to deal with. So it's not that. I mean, I definitely don't feel judged. And thank you very much for everything. It's just more of like I can't. It's more for myself. I mean, even the people I tend to, even my people I talk to, I still have these moments where I'm like, man, I think this is all bullshit. This is all like some fantasy. Look how special I am. I got these abilities and all this crap. And I did, but here we are, and it's still not. If it is mind control, then they're damn, it's fucking hardcore, because there's a lot of bringing up synchronicities from the past. I mean, it's like it's real impressive if it is. So, but like I said, I'm still not ready to say that I've done it. I've had these experiences, and that's kind of where I'm at. Maybe that's my own programming, but I don't know.
Well, there is mind control programming and manipulation involved. There was manipulation involved in the email exchanges because this person is heavily manipulative. That's the way the person is. That's how they operate, their tactics. And I understand that the mind control manipulation is a huge component of this, and it's okay to admit it, that it's there, because it's there to make you do something, to make you act a certain way, and you're like, okay, I know about this, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to fall pressure to that, because that's not what I want. Free will. You have free will to say no, to make your own decisions and not go that route. And if people understand that, then they have more control over their life. And in the SSP portion of it, in your normal life, you have more control over your actions, because actions do have consequences and vice versa. So the choices you make, you have more knowledge, more wisdom now to understand what this really is, and to make the choices of, no, I don't want to be in this program. I'm going to revoke all these contracts, all these whatever I've had with this program, and I'm going to say no to the abductions, no to these whatever missions. No means no. You do not get to take me. Not today. Sorry, I'm busy. No, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, and I was definitely like that for a long time. But then thinking about having an altar that's actually there 40 years, I mean, it's still in its 40 back from that perspective, like that's kind of a different thing. Yeah. And I don't, like I said, it seems, I don't know. I mean, it's weird. I'm not sure what to make of that altar. I want to think that he's fighting a good fight. And I kind of feel that way, but I don't know for sure. I could be getting tricked. So yeah, it's kind of, at least my missions that I remember seem to be having some sort of, they have a purpose to them that's not this crazy nefarious. So, that's okay for now. But yeah, I would love to get debriefed. That would be awesome, And even when this all started happening, I was like, just debrief me. That's fine. But I don't know if that's ever we'll see about that.
Yeah, for me, I feel like all of these missions were physically took me and physically did all the missions and was the physical asset. I don't remember having any alters. I don't remember being in a cybernetic body. I do remember witnessing this happening to other people, and I was observing this. So, because they had me as a cybernetic tech in a lab checking body parts to make sure these body parts were top quality merchandise that could be integrated with the cybernetic parts. And you know, parts come in and parts go out, and human beings being hung on chains and blood leaking from the chains, and they were just hanging there until they're ready to be prepped for cybernetic integration.
Sorry, there's a bird flying around in my room, so a bird got in my house.
That's okay. Cybernetic integration. Sorry, there was an echo too. So cybernetics, human body parts integrated with cybernetics, and just people hanging on chains bleeding.
Rachelle and I had major emotional, like, you can see the bird actually. We had major issues with the last mission because we were going into these facilities, and like we had a couple of days in this life where we felt like we were like had that really hardcore, heavy heart, like we'd seen some shit kind of vibe, you know. And that was, I knew what we were getting into. It was going to be hardcore. I just knew that mission was going to be bad because I knew what was going to happen, and I was kind of prepared. But I don't think she was, not to the level that we saw. And we basically, to me, it's almost, it becomes, I'd rather be dead than be a mind control slave. Like, that's just me. That's just who I am. I'm not saying anybody else, but I'd rather be dead. Because I've been there. So, to me, like, we were liberating them, but it wasn't in a way that you think. It was, put them to rest.
Yeah, I'd rather be.
That was hardcore.
Yeah, me too. I'd rather be paddling up the creek without a paddle than be some kind of a mind-controlled slave or acid or agent for some of these factions. It's just not cool.
It's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah. And I think that's why, if there is this good group up there, I know that I would want to be fighting and would be agree to being used just because I want to end the other stuff so bad that even if I said no, part of my heart will always say yes, just because of what's happened to me. So even if I say no, there's still a part of me that wants to stop it, and we'll do whatever. Like, honestly, we'll do whatever it takes to get it done. So, that's kind of me. That's after my session with Carr, I really wanted to get to, because he says that they're all negative. It's all negative experiences, and I absolutely 100% get that position. But yet, I still have a sincere, desire to end what's going on up there. And since they made me, then I feel like there is a poetic to it. There's a flow to it. So we'll see. I'm my alter brosif, that's what I call him. We'll see what he's up to. Maybe he'll show up one day.
Exactly.
That's what I wonder. That would be really weird if he just showed up. Then that would be strange.
And I've had people contacting me and saying, how do I become an interplanetary corporate conglomerate asset? How do I sign up? How do I become an SSP, Secret Space Program asset? I'm like, you don't want to be an asset. You don't ask for this, because
it's like being possessed. You want to be possessed by a demon? Because that's really about the same. It's to me, it's about the same level of things.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, you want to be a mind-controlled slave? You want to be following orders and marching to somebody else's beat off-planet?
People that you have no reason to kill just because someone gave you the order? Is that something you want on your soul?
You want to be abducted for the thrill and kicks of it? Do you want ETs doing stuff to you?
Yes. Psychic attacks of every other kind, every other faction trying to figure out what's in your head and what they did to you and all this other crazy stuff. Yeah, it's Yeah, much less trying to have a social life or even like like much less than messing with your job and all the other things that can mess with you. I mean, it's not, it's horrible. I mean, you got to be a certain person. I'm lucky. I don't have kids. I don't even. I have very little family. It's basically just me taking care of myself. So I mean, yeah, I can deal with all this. But I mean, I can't imagine having family and all that other stuff. Like, good Lord, like how would you even have the energy and time to even give yourself time to think about it? And you're constantly. I mean, I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah.
That and use them against you so easily.
Yeah.
They can totally blackmail you for your because you have kids. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have kids either for that specific reason. I had a hysterectomy for medical purposes, and I never really wanted kids in the first place. I have some family and a pet, and that's about it. And I'm always being careful and looking after my pet to make sure they're safe and stuff, because they can use your animals, they can use family against you in any way they want. They can hurt you and your loved ones. So I've never wanted kids, and personal relationships are hard too. There's a pattern of relationships not lasting or being very short, because how do you explain all of this stuff that happens to you?
Yeah, it's great for the first 2 weeks where everything's kind of on the surface, and as soon as you go a little bit further down, it's like, ooh, like if you actually want to get to know me in my heart, like it's going to be a lot. It's not, not to get past my, shitty sense of humor and, my bad jokes and crap. There's a whole lot more that's covering up a whole lot of crap. So, yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, ever since I kind of took this on, that's kind of been, it's just not been, I feel like I'm going to have to find somebody that's at least open to this, or more or less having done it themselves, because, at this point, it's just, even friends that I've had a long time, good friends, like I don't tell them, I tell them an eighth of what, or tenth of what actually happens and what I go through, just because they can't deal with it. I can't expect them to, I don't know, I try to meet them with, it's just hard. It's hard to expect people to, accept all this and do it, I don't know, it's just hard.
Yeah, and sometimes what happens is you meet somebody who you had personal interrelationships with in the SSP on the same project, on the same missions, and you actually meet them in life, and they say, well, I know you from that project and that project from the SSP. And I'm like, and you say, oh yeah, I remember you too. And there was an instant attraction, and because they were your boyfriend or girlfriend or partner in that SSP reality. And now you have that instant connection here because you remember that stuff. So, and you're like, well, okay, what do I do with all this now? Because the other person, admits to the same thing and they're interested in you. So what do you do with that?
Yeah, I know. Is it program? Is it something, is it some, yeah, totally. But yet you have this real connection, and it feels real, and that's what we humans do. We make relationships with things. So, it's kind of, like I said, that's been the best thing about all this coming out for sure, has been meeting other people, and then, especially the validation of somebody else saying, oh, I remember you, and then telling me things that you've only thought to yourself, and then remembering other parts of the story, and you're like, wait, I didn't tell anybody that. Like, how do you know that? You must have, that's interesting.
Yeah, I've remembered a few people of the male gender who I had personal relationships with when I was in the ICC, and I'm like, well, I like them. They're nice people. I don't want to have a interpersonal relationship per se now because I have a different life, but the interest is still there in the person because they're a part of your soul.
Yeah, it resonated. Yeah, for sure. And that's what, I think that's what's so interesting. A lot of my memories are those, that's what I remember has been, the people and the relationship. It's not specific instances, a lot of it, but a lot of it's just kind of how we were around and how we felt around each other. kind of how different that was from everything else. It becomes such a just, everything it's such a different than some of the more other things you have to go through. So
Yeah.
it really sticks out, it seems like.
Yeah. And I was talking to Rochelle, and what I was describing to her on something I picked up. Like, I was describing to her a relationship she had, an interpersonal relationship. And she's like, "Oh, who is that guy?" And I said the name, right? And I said, "This is what you guys did together, intimately." And she's like, "Oh my God, this person actually told me about that." So, and she's like, "How can you see all of this?" I'm like, "I'm looking into your head, and I'm seeing bits and pieces of your SSP life and bits and pieces of this guy's SSP life." And she's like, "That person actually totally confirmed what you said to me in private conversation." She's like, "You need to talk to this guy now." So,
it was, yeah, very, very much like that. Like, 100%. It was like, whoa, like, I'm not like trying to make fantasies. I'm not, like, it was just like, man, as soon as I saw it, it was just flooded with very, very intense emotional things, like very intimate, super intimate memories. And and then, and I told her, straight up about it. And, because I was like, I don't know what to do. This is what I'm remembering. I know it's really strange.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
We're super close now. So, in a way, I feel like that's strengthened our bond, and there's like another level of a gender interaction going on at a soul level that
Yeah.
we hardly ever see, that also is weaving its own, web and intention through all this also.
Yeah, and it's not like just because you had a personal relationship, like just because Rochelle had a personal relationship in the SSP with that guy, doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that she's going to leave Australia and go to the US and physically get it on with that person. They're friends now. It's not like she's going to act out that in real life, or vice versa, or whoever else she remembers or I remember. We're friends now because we remember each other as having close connections. Doesn't mean it's going to get physical again. We're just going to be friends because we feel the friendship now connection, not necessarily the extra personal connection that we had physically before. So it's different interaction on a different level now, I feel. That's
absolutely right. That's definitely what it's turned into, for sure.
Yeah, and you also have past lives. Sometimes you remember something from a past life. Like I had a partner in Atlantis from an Atlantis lifetime. I was a genetic scientist. He was also a scientist. His name was Bael. And I didn't want to, like, he saw the atrocities of the genetic experiments that they were doing like 2 million years ago in Atlantis. He told me, I'm like, I'm not going to get involved because they'll torture me. And I did nothing for him when they took him and tortured him and killed him. And then I met a guy in this lifetime who looked exactly like Bael. And I just felt an instant connection. We went out on a few dates, and there were some things, but, we briefly hung out, and then we went our separate ways after we worked out interpersonal stuff. Because karmically, we weren't meant to be in this lifetime either. We were just meant to connect and work out some things together and move on.
Well, that's absolutely. It definitely got my attention. Definitely made me like, okay, something's going on here. The universe wants me to, definitely pay attention to this person. So
yeah,
that's what I took it as, and
yeah.
I'm very, very happy with the friendship that I've made, for sure.
Yeah, and that's how we make these connections. People say to you, well, I remember you. We were this or that together in the SSP, and I feel that you're instantly my friend because I trust you. Like, I've had people right off the bat tell me that. one fellow told me that when we were on a show together with somebody else doing a show, and he's like, "I know you. We were together. I know you." I'm like, "I remember you too. Yes, yes." And we're friends because of that connection. It's like a soul connection. It's not like anything tawdry. It's not like anything, whatever. We're just friends now, and that's fine.
Right.
It's not anything bad, and I don't really remember anybody is doing anything bad to me, any individuals from the SSP who are currently living their lives doing anything bad to me. So people ask me, well, do you know these individuals, the whistleblowers who've come out doing anything to you in the SSP? I'm like, no, I don't. Because I didn't see these individuals and these famous whistleblowers in my SSP experience. I don't remember them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember a guy who I feel like I should. We're relatively close age. We're from the same state. I'm sure that we were probably, might have been taking the same facilities, but I have no recall at all.
Maybe we're not supposed to.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it could have been just one next class above or below or something, just enough that we didn't see each other. So
yeah, or different factions of the SSP. So it's very interwoven. It's very layered, different compartments, different organizations. Everything is like secret, hidden. So you just don't know who you remember, who you were with or weren't with. People ask you, and I'm like, I don't know.
You have no idea. Yeah, I mean, if I did, I'd say, but I don't. It's like, I'm not going to lie. I just don't. I have no idea. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm careful with the emails now because people are even sending me their extraterrestrial encounters and experiences and asking me, well, can you advise me about this? Have you had a similar experience? And I say, it's your experience. I can't really advise you on an experience that is yours. And they say, well, do you know these ETs that I had an experience with? I'm like, I really can't say yes or no because I don't know your exact story. I'm like,
yeah, I mean, just like the beginning of this talk, I contacted you and questioned you about an alien that we found out that actually probably wasn't the same alien, but that's how this works. You got to figure it out. Got to go down that road to figure things out.
Yeah, people want to call me to talk with me to share these stories. I'm like, I'm sorry, there's only so much time in the day. I try my best, but I just don't want. There's certain people that interest me, and I want to talk to them when I have an affinity. I feel an affinity. I want to talk to somebody. I'll talk to you. If I don't have the connection, I can't make the connection. It's just, I know these people want to share, right? Mm-hmm. But I say no sometimes because it's just not there.
Well, you gotta feel it. I mean, we still are humans, and we still got a heart and a gut, and we have to. I mean, most of us, especially on all this, we have to kind of go live by our gut because everything's so obscured. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of how we are. I mean, you have to honor yourself because you never know. You don't know. I mean, there's weirdos out there. There's people that want to get into your energy field. There's all kinds of gazillion ways they can get after you. So
yeah, you
have to be aware of all of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, people send me their phone numbers, their emails without even knowing me. They like the website, like Messages from a Star Traveler, my YouTube channel, Awakening Cosmic Reality Show. They like it, and they send me their personal information. Like, I have this experience, that experience. Can you advise me, consult me, tell me what to do? I'm like, I can't tell you what to do. It's your experience, not mine.
Yeah. I mean, the best I can do is I can listen. And
yeah.
Basically, that's all I can really do is listen because that's all I can do. I mean, not really going to judge it. I can't even judge it. I'm not the authority. So how can I judge anything? And, mostly it is just talking to somebody, getting off your chest. Like, your answers are so hard to come by in all this anyway. So a lot of it's just getting through the emotional trauma of it all. And so you can kind of get back on your feet and go on. I mean, it's really all it is.
Yeah. And And I've been saying no to a lot of people because, unfortunately, I'm empathic and I just feel things and I see things from other people's heads, and I'm like, don't have much protection against that. I can put up shields. There's only so much I can take as a human. I try to respond to as many people as I can, but sometimes I just can't even respond to what's told to me. I can't go there. So,
well, I mean, you're doing the best you can to win, and that's all you can do. And I mean, there's always going to be people that blame you people that always blame other people for their issues, and it sucks to be in the crosshairs of it. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. That, and I think, I mean, honestly, like I said, I think you're a threat because they want to control the narrative. You know, there's definitely seems to be, whether a ET group or SSP faction or whoever it is, they definitely want to portray things a certain way and control what we think about all this. And any kind of person that speaks intelligently and has a good heart and is open about all this, they're going to get attacked, just straight up.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, sometimes people even get upset at me for not answering their text or email or whatever. I'm like, I'm sorry. What did you expect from me? Like, you keep on sending me the same thing over and over again. I don't know what to tell you. And they're like saying, well, didn't you just respond to me and tell me you don't know or you can't answer this? I'm like, I'm a busy person. I don't have all day to be on my cell phone checking messages from my website, from my Facebook pages, from my YouTube channel. It's a lot of social media. I just don't have the time to check.
Yeah, no, I'm not on Facebook, so I don't really have these issues, so it doesn't.
Yeah, just folks, just because I didn't answer you, it doesn't mean that I don't feel for you or that you have your experiences for sure, and I acknowledge that. I acknowledge it fully. I just sometimes can't answer because there's not a lot of time in the day.
Well, you can only do what you do, Ileana. I think you're doing great as it is. So you can only do what you do. That's all we can do.
And a lot of folks are disconnecting from Facebook.
Yeah. Well, that's not surprising. I mean, it's a mess. It's a mess. I mean,
And I'm, you, and I think, this intellectually, that's why you're not signing up for it, because people would be asking you a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably multiple reasons why I'm not. Yeah, and a lot of it is more just so I don't want to take on a lot of people's stuff. That's why I didn't even watch a lot of videos on this, because I didn't want to be just regurgitating other people's experiences. I wanted to try to be like, well, this is what I experienced, and that does relate to yours. So yeah, that's why I didn't want to be just mouthpiece for some other thing that I picked this up. I don't know how it is. You're trying to figure out what's you and what's not you in all this. Whether it be alters or programming or whatnot. And that's really the big journey is trying to figure out where you stand with all of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's your story, it's your experiences, it's not my experiences. My story and my experiences are mine. I'm not copycatting yours. It might sound similar, it might have some, corroboration in there, because there's similarities and differences in all of this SSP business. Just because it might sound similar doesn't mean I'm copycatting you. I'm not going around copying people's story, like exactly as they told it. I'm not copying that physically off the internet, and yet I'm being blamed for plagiarism and copycatting certain whistleblower. I'm like, no. There's no monopoly on who you meet. You might meet the same ETs. You might be in the same faction. There's no monopoly on that.
I mean, they could say the same about your copy. I mean, maybe that person's copying Michael Ralph's stuff. He was one of the first people to ever come out with all this stuff. That can go on and on and on. So, you're just copying that. Then, so yeah, it's not. They definitely seem to have I mean, so a lot of these recalls, they have a life of their own. It's like it's not like me like, oh, and then I saw myself doing this. It's more like, I mean, it just happens and you see it and you're like, okay, wow, that's weird. I wasn't planning or trying to make this up or like, ooh, like what, like, it's really strange how it just seems to have a light of its own. It's really weird.
Yeah. I'm not telling you, hey, you did this or you did that because I wasn't there. I really don't know. It's your experience, not mine. I'm just here to hold a safe space so we can chat and share these experiences. I'm not going to go judging people, SSP experiencers, on what they say. It might sound exactly like my experience. I don't really care. It's your business. It's what you're telling. It's your story. You're allowed to share it. Free will, free universe. You do whatever you got to do to work through it. And it might look similar to mine, might look exactly like mine. It's your business what you put out there. Yours and yours alone. It's your responsibility. People think you're doing whatever and whatever. Fine. That's their judgment. You don't take it on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Ileana, I actually got to get to farm life here. I got to put my chickens up and feed my dogs and go all that good stuff. Is it okay if we end it now?
Yeah. It's a really good chat, and it was a pleasure talking to you again. And this time, it actually recorded well, and I could hear you. The sound is better. So thank you so much, Will, for repeating the same stuff that we talked about before.
Indeed. Well, Ileana, thank you so much, and really appreciate it. And thank you for your time. I really do. It always helps so much.
Thank you. And I'm sure we'll chat again and share some interesting things.
I'm sure we will.
Bye.
Bye.